if we talk about the first generation, like we have in the past on the gods of the first generation, I've already done part one talking about Gengar, and this is part two. When we talk about the superstar Pokemon, only one would probably come to mind, and that would be Starmie, the actual star Pokemon. It was a star back in its day because of it was one of the most reliable psychic types you could ever get your hands on. You can argue Alakazam was good, yes, but it had a primary water typing alongside it, and we know even today, seeing a water type is pretty hard to stop. It's on top of being able to just recover, having that move, having one of the strongest stab moves in the game at the time, which was Hydro Pump. Starmie had its heyday. It had its ups, and it really had no downs. Didn't really have anything else that was going against it. It had 115 base speed, 100 special attack, special offense if you want to go like that, special. Great matchups, even against offensive Pokemon. Had higher base defense at 85. That's way higher than Alakazam Gengar. Had more health, so it was bulky, for someone who's supposed to be a sweeper, so that it became one of the first bulky sweepers, probably, for its time or ever. You could probably argue other bulky sweepers, like maybe a Snorlax, but we'll get to that in a later one. On the surface, the moves it can learn weren't much, hard hitting as other ones. It did have that staple, which was water, ice, electric. Thunderbolt, you had Hydro Pump and Blizzard, and no one could really stop that. It had coverage. It was one of the best coverage Pokemon in the game. And let's just stop to think in Red, Blue, and Yellow on how Blizzard somehow had 90 accuracy and had that still chance to freeze. I want everybody to just pause the video for a sec to go make sure that's true, because it was. It's fun. It's kind of funny when you think about it. A lot of people might not remember it. Oh, it's always been at 70%. No, it was at 90, and that's what gave Starmie a lot of attention, because it didn't need to run Ice Beam. It'd rather run Blizzard instead, and most people probably be done at that point. It's, like I said, defensive stats were, average for being a special sweeper, so it got that bulk. It can kind of cut it for being average. The typing didn't bring in many weaknesses. Any kind of normal physical Snorlax, a champ, they couldn't really do much. Walled out Gengar very easily, because Gengar, had his physical attacks like I've mentioned before, so couldn't really do much. And a limited move pull from Zapdos. Zapdos only had Thunderbolt to take it down, and was it fast enough? I don't think so. So, and also, Ghost, Dark, Bug, its other weaknesses, those didn't really have all their moves. Like I said about Gengar, it didn't have its Shadow Ball yet. It didn't have anything like that. Dark moves didn't have Dark Pulse yet, didn't have Crunch. Bug moves didn't have anything yet, so there was nothing really relevant to really stop it. Not until we get to later games, which I'll get to later. Gen 2, 3 did lose some special defense, dropped to about 85. Blizzard does get its accuracy dropped, but let's be honest, thank God that happened. I don't think anybody would want to be in a world where Blizzard's 120 base power and 90 accuracy. That's something that's crazy. So I had to get Ice Beam, which Ice Beam in many ways kind of still worked out at 100 accuracy, and could play the support role a little more, because it can get Thunder Wave now. It can get Reflect, Light Screen. It still has Recover. It had Recover even the first game. It was one of the best Pokemon to have Recover, and any kind of a lot of attacks were on top of that. Made its way for being that viable Rapid Spinner, because Spikes came into the game, and still later on in the games, Spikes, Stealth Rock, Toxic Spikes, those come in. So it really remained OU for, just for having the best move pool. It can bring whatever you want. If you wanted to have the walls, attacks, it had everything you needed, pretty much. And when we also go into Gen 3 a little bit, it got Natural Cure, which for that time, there were really no other perfect abilities. And that one seemed like one of the best, because if it was going to get poisoned, okay, just take it out. You just beat a Toxic, and you beat any kind of, say, Sludge Bomb kind of user right there. If it got Thunder Wave, well, you can switch it out, and then there goes your, paralysis, so you're not slow anymore. So That was one of the main weaknesses it had, was just getting slowed down by that. But then Natural Cure took that away. So okay, that's great. So I think just got a little better from really, like most Pokemon, they got better because of the abilities. Interesting fact. Remember when I talked about Gengar, how a lot of main Pokemon back from Gen 1 didn't make its way onto Ruby Sapphire, like Snorlax and Zapdos, one of those Pokemon along those lines. But Starmie did make its way into Ruby and Sapphire. It was one of it was one of the best Pokemon at the time because it remained good from Gen 1 and 2, and then it was still in 3. So that's why, it was still like a god at that time. Still haven't gone over, it was still present. It could still be one of the longest running OU Pokemon from the start. Because like I said, a lot of Pokemon didn't make its way in the 3rd gen, not until Fire Red Leaf Green, so it kind of skipped the whole game. So that's like a year of not seeing a Pokemon like Gengar or Snorlax, but you still saw Starmie, you still saw him there. So crazy to know one of that. So, and he was still one of the only Pokemon for now to sweep a whole team and not having boosting moves. It doesn't get any kind of let's say Calm Mind. Doesn't get that. Doesn't get what's that other one? I always forget. Wow, not Amnesia. This is embarrassing. Don't worry, I know. Yeah. So for most Pokemon, I will talk this list. They all get monstrous buffs once Gen 4 comes in, because they all get Life Orb and they all get choice items. Starmie was one of the best Pokemon to have choice specs with, because it never had power. It was fast, it was bulky, but the special attack kind of lacked. But if you could hit it hard with a super effective move, yeah, so. But now you get super effective moves with one of the best move pools in the game on top of a choice specs item. Okay, now we're in business here. That's when a lot of Pokemon did get that god status back in Gen 4 because of the choice items. Grass Knot and other hidden powers, those made its way on there. So his move pool is pretty much perfect at this point. It can pretty much have any type you want, not even counting, like, you maybe go for, doing that on the hidden powers, but it could pretty much get almost every single type of move once you can get Grass Knot. So that was incredible. You still couldn't get walled out by the Toxic Spikes because you had Natural Cure, so that was still a thing. One of the best Pokemon to stop Heatran and Fernape, one of the, two of the best fire types at the time. It was the best water, arguably. Yeah, Rotom Wash was there, but if you wanted that fast sweeper, you had to go Starmie still. Even though a lot of Pokemon, once Platinum comes in, will get completely overshadowed because of Caesar. This one, yes, it is no different. It stopped getting played because everyone wanted to run Caesar. Same thing happened to Gengar. It happened to a lot of Pokemon. Maybe not even Garchomp. You ran both, but you really had to. You always thought it's Caesar. And I will go to over Caesar because it is amazing. And that would be another video, maybe. To end the 4th generation, it finished strong. Boost in popularity, not really towards the end, but still remain one of the most in the top 10 of overused usage, top 10. So it still ended on a high note to end Gen 4. Gen 5, 6 didn't really get much play. A lot of Pokemon from Gen 5 did, get introduced, like say an Excadrill for being that other offensive spinner. Could have been a better option, who knows, because if they need a physical. So it had that. Latios and Latias, people were still running that Soldew a lot back then, so they'd rather have that psychic type Pokemon. And it kind of made its way on the rain teams with Politoed to boost up that Scald and maybe that Thunder to never miss. But other Swift Swimmers kind of did make it on there. So towards Gen 5 and 6, it did drop off just a little bit, but it still is OU. Anyone will agree, looking at the past, present, future, remain a threat, versatile. It arguably has the best move pool in the game. It can learn whatever you want it to learn, pretty much. It's hard to say. It never has had a true counter. You could say anything like a Executor back then would stop it. That would be one of its only threats. Maybe a Chansey, a Blissey. Those kind of stallers stop it, but never really had that one Pokemon counter people bring it. It's like most of the time they would see a Starmie and they're like, well, I think I didn't, I have this kind of counter, but not really. So it was kind of like that. It's always going to have its place alongside some of the strongest Pokemon in the game. it's always going to be there, and it's always going to be playing at a very high level for many, many years to come.